My parents grew up in the 70s and 80s in Slemani, when southern Kurdistan was under the control of the Baathist party and under the grip of Saddam Hussein. Everyone who is well read into the history of this time knows about the terror that the regime of Saddam put Kurds under. But fewer people know about the terror of one of the leading Baathist generals of Iraq, the terror of Mulazim Moesin. My parents used to tell me the story, and now I will tell you. This is the full story of Mulazim Moesin, according to survival witnesses, one of the most evil Baathists in the regime of Saddam Hussein.
تعالوا شيلوا يلا.
In 1968, the Baath Party took the power in Iraq. The Baathists call themselves a socialist party which calls for the unity of the Arab world into one single state. As the party takes its shape as the governing power in Iraq, the new president Ahmed Hassan al-Bakr appoints Saddam Hussein as his vice president. Saddam Hussein is appointed responsibility for security matters in Iraq. He takes several actions against the Shias in southern Iraq and the Kurds in northern Iraq. As the Kurds responded, mostly through guerrilla tactics, with much of the resistance coming from the city of Slemani, symbolic for the resistance. Saddam Hussein looked for an answer to maintain control in the uprising city. At the time, Slemani was totally under the control of Iraq's army, with Peshmerga fighters hiding underground in houses and alleys, targeting the regime with effective hit-and-run tactics. In the beginning of the 70s, Mulazim Moesin was promoted by Vice President Saddam Hussein to become the commander of the Iraqi army in Slemani. At the time, Mulazim was a 30-year-old, well-trained Palestinian soldier loyal to the Pan-Arab Baath Party, in which he had successfully climbed the ranks in a short period of time. He managed to climb in the party due to his very well-trained ability as a soldier, but also the brutality he possessed as a commander. Just as Saddam Hussein was appointed responsibility for security in Iraq, Mulazim Moesin was appointed the responsibility for security in Slemani. Saddam Hussein knew what he brought upon the Kurdish rebels of Slemani. Moesin was a brutal and merciless officer who would surely bring fear to the Kurdish people, and this was exactly what Saddam looked for.
ايش نكردوها؟
سيدي هذا المجرم
ايش نكردوها؟
هذا ثاني مكتوب على الشعارات.
قوم لك مخرب ابن الكلب.
سيدي مواني.
حقيق
سيدي والله مواني.
انت
مواني
تكتب بالجدران.
والله مواني سيدي.
لك هسه اكد لك هسه. وين تروح؟
والله
وين
مواني.
تروح من هذا؟
سيدي مواني.
روح
والله.
انت ايش فيك انت؟
سيدي والله مواني.
The previous Baathist commander of Slemani immediately submitted to Mulazim. However, far from everyone was thrilled about his sudden appearance. Nobody openly criticized him, since his authority was established by the top leaders of the party.
اسمع بركان.
نعم.
اريد احكي وياك حكايه. اسمعني زين. انت تدري ملازم محسن منين جاي ومنو دزه؟
نعم سيدي، هاي دازة سيد مدير الأمن العام. نعم.
وتدري ملازم محسن عنده مهمه خاصه وصلاحيات خاصه، ما حد يتدخل بشؤونه، حتى انا.
The upcoming year, violence increased in Slemani. Rebellious youths were kidnapped, jailed, tortured, and killed. Many were innocent, but Mulazim and the Iraqi army were also able to catch people from the Kurdish resistance. In the book called History of Gun Barrels by Shahab Karim, it is said, there were not many who did not know who Mulazim Moesin was. He was sent by the Baath regime to Kurdistan to brutally kill and destroy every trace of Kurdish resistance in the city. The crimes that Mulazim Moesin committed towards civilians were unprecedented, and no court wanted or were willing to take on his case. Mulazim did not hesitate in his methods to crush the Kurds. He searched for his targets in schools, mosques, and private homes.
الله بالإجازة.
The University of Slemani were attacked several times, and students were massacred. Mulazim's brutal tactics motivated the most brave Peshmergas to initiate their resistance, but it also scared the most coward Kurds, the Jashes, who probably remained the primary reason that Mulazim were able to kill so many Kurds. At this time, most Jashes came from the upper classes among the Kurds. Mulazim promised wealthy individuals that they would be allowed to keep their wealth and positions, and that their family members would not risk getting arrested. By bribing them, he managed to recruit many Jashes who reported from within Kurdish society itself. In this journalistic segment by Rudau about a Kurdish Jash traitor named Mufawaz Shamal, one of the interviewers speak about the Jash's influence on Mulazim Moesin.
أنا عامل مساعد من أبوي محسن على وأنا بتنخلق بقرنجنا وأنا عرب بنخلق سليماني أنا ناسي أما أنا خلق يعني ناسي تشخيص يعني كدو آنش يزويد يعني بدأ سابق شو يعني كرت.
Mulazim was a total psychopath. He tortured people in public and even executed them personally, notorious for shooting Kurds with his personal handgun just for fun. He would soon get the notorious name, the Butcher of Slemani. Within the Peshmerga resistance, there were one man who would soon develop a very special relationship with Mulazim. His name was Asoi Dalak, a young man who served the Peshmerga resistance in and around Slemani. They would meet several times eye to eye in combat, mostly because Dalak took it upon himself the task of assassinating Mulazim Moesin. In time, the Kurds called Asoi Dalak the shadow of Mulazim for his ability to always tracing and following Moesin. Mulazim survived several attempts upon his life and would in time develop an obsession of killing Asoi Dalak. The fact that Dalak was never killed irritated Mulazim, and for Dalak, assassinating Mulazim was a difficult task since he was always surrounded by Iraqi soldiers. Instead, Dalak decided to start attacking Moesin psychologically. Through deep contacts, Dalak found out where Mulazim Moesin had his everyday dinner and cup of tea. On purpose, Dalak went earlier to the restaurant and paid the owner to deliver a message to Moesin. When it was time for Moesin to pay, the waiter told him that everything was already paid for by a man named Asoi Dalak. Mulazim got paranoid. The whole thing indicated that Asoi Dalak was always there, watching Mulazim without him even knowing. In 1978, on a Friday morning, Asoi Dalak was preparing for another hit-and-run attack against Mulazim and a band of his Iraqi military men in Slemani. Asoi's group, consisting of him and two other Peshmerga fighters, got into clashes with the Iraqi forces very close to the main square of Slemani. The confrontation lasted only a couple of seconds and Mulazim Moesin was shot and injured, but once again survived. Dalak and his men escaped without any casualties. Enraged after getting away alive, Mulazim almost turned the whole city of Slemani upside down, attacking one house after another, with troops of soldiers taking innocent women and men to the notorious prison of Amna Suraka in the city center. The Amna Suraka prison was first built in 1978, but was later reconstructed in 1983 to hold more prisoners. The total area when finished in 1983 was 370 square meters and 2 floors, which consisted of 16 rooms. It also included a main center which was used to maintain control and censorship. The Amna Suraka prison worked both as the Baath Party headquarters in Slemani, but also as the torture chamber which most people knew it for. Many people were imprisoned here, especially students, nationalists, and other dissidents. Some were tortured in the most brutal ways. Others were raped. Some women had to give birth to and raise their children in this prison. In the smallest of cells, the Iraqi military forces kept Kurdish prisoners locked in spaces so small that they had to take turns sleeping. In the torture rooms, detainees were exposed to electric shocks, heated iron and cable whips on their bodies, and electric currents passing through their sensitive organs. Many heroes of the Kurdish resistance ended up dying in these halls. As the conflict between the Kurds and the Iraqi regime escalated, and especially between Mulazim Moesin and Asoi Dalak, so did the level of brutality in this prison. In 1979, Asoi Dalak was given a secret mission in Slemani. During this mission, he was reportedly betrayed by a Jash member among the Kurds, who gave details about the mission to the Iraqi army and exposed Dalak's position. The young Peshmerga was caught in a trap and imprisoned in Amna Suraka. Mulazim was euphoric with the news of Asoi Dalak's capture. Dalak faced years in jail, and according to survivors from the inside, Moesin tortured him personally. The methods were both physical and psychological. Just like the way Dalak had psychologically confronted Moesin, he now applied even more worse methods to destroy Dalak's spirit. Cigarette butts were put out on his skin, and hot cups of tea were poured on his naked body. It is unclear if Moesin was keeping Dalak alive for the sake of continuing torture, or if he wanted to get secret information about the Peshmerga hideouts. It is most likely that Dalak did not give away any information about his fellow comrades, something that made Moesin frustrated and probably ended up in the murder of Asoi Dalak. From the outside, years passed and nobody heard from Dalak again. After the fall of Dalak, Mulazim Moesin continued his brutal behavior for another 10 years. 12 years after the capture of Asoi Dalak, the Kurdish revolution of Raparin took place in Iraqi-occupied Kurdistan. To secure lost areas such as Kirkuk, Mulazim Moesin was ordered to service in the oil-rich city in 1991. In time, the revolution reached Slemani, in which the Peshmerga, backed by the people of the city, revolted against the Baath Party. The Baathists retreated to the Amna Suraka headquarters and held off Peshmerga rebels for nearly 2 days before the Peshmerga could capture the prison, following a 2-hour-long clash. Upon the capture of the prison, 300 Baathists were executed by both Peshmerga fighters and locals who previously had lost relatives killed by the Baath Party. In total, around 800 from both the Iraqi army and police in Slemani were killed. In Kirkuk, Mulazim Moesin continued his reign of torture and brutality until 2003, when the Iraqi war started and Mulazim Moesin suddenly disappeared. In 2005, a Kurdish TV series called Gardalul was aired, starring the harsh reality of Kurds in Bashur with a great focus in Slemani. In its second and third season, the Kurdish actor Hama Ali Khan portrayed Mulazim Moesin, in which he made a great portrayal of the character. In an interview behind the scenes, he explains how he in his youth one time met Mulazim Moesin.
من رأيكم هي علم إيرا شتي زور جوانيان كردوك كهيش تويانتو
هذا سويانا
آي چون بو جيلي تازه نوي نوي كهيت أبينن كأم شوينه بوا شوينه كهيت جورو ترس دادقري شوينه كخلق كهاتوت أمنا سوروا يتر هیچ قناعتێکی نەبووە باوەڕی نەبوو ڕۆژێ لە ڕۆژام چ ئێستا ئاوانیان کردویانە بە شوێنێکی سیاحی دەستیان خۆش بێ جا من حەزم لێ بوو ئەمنە سوورە ڕەب بکەینەوە بە درامایەکەوە کارەکتەری مولازم محسێن بەڕاستی من یەک جار محسێنم دی ئێستا محسێن بە ڕۆژێک کتێبێکی دۆستۆیڤسکیم پێ بوو اینجا ئەو کتێبی پێ بووە نای ڕووسی لەسەر بووە ئەکسەر دەمانچەکەی دەران یەک فیشێکیان نابەسەرەوە ئەو ئەمە کۆمەڵن ڕقی لە ڕستبەت شەخی لە کوردستان بوو لەسەر چنار الجەریمە والعقاب مەخوێنەوە بەس باش بوو خوا ڕەحمی کرد پشتەکەی پێوە بووە جینا لەسەری نووسراوە ئەلکاتب ڕووسی شەیرە جینا ئەو کاتە منیش کوژرا بوو دەمانچەکەی دەرانی فیشێکی ئەو ڕووسیە خوێنیتەوە جا تعلق تەلەبە بووم تەلەبەی سنفی پێنج بووم خێرا هەیەکەم دەرانی وتم بە قورعان ئێسای خۆم هەیەکەم مایوتم ئانی تاالب
هەی بۆ ئێوە تەقلیدی جوانەکەی خۆ بینیوتە کاری
ئیتر خوای گەورە ڕەحمی پێکردم بەس بیتە ئەو کتێبە چییە بەس ئەو وانەوتی شنو هذا الكتاب منیش زۆر زیرەکانە قۆستمەوتم سەیدی قسەت حب جەریم و عقاب لەگەڵ قسەت حبا زۆری فەرقە ئەتر کە هەوێکەی سەیب کردووەوە هەوێکەی یامەوەتی ئەڵەنج زلەیەکی لێم و ڕۆیشتم باوەڕتان هەبێ هەتا من ڕۆیشتوم وەمزانیوە تەقم لێکە ئێستا من نەکوژدێم یعنی ترسناکێکی پێوە دیار بوو حتا لە ڕۆیشتنیە ئێوە ئاگاتان لێبێ.
Few knows what really happened to Mulazim. In 2016, a video circulated claiming that Mulazim Moesin had been killed. Whether this is true or not is not until this day revealed. What we know for sure is that Mulazim Moesin remains one of the worst killers of Kurds, some even portraying him as worse than Saddam himself, due to the many executions he personally committed.